Human feels the alien girl's aura brush his skin, and the alien girl says the aura wrapped around him. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to our main character. Ethan Moore had always believed that the world he lived in was fairly predictable. He was an ordinary guy from a small town in the Midwest, used to the mundane routines of daily life. The most exciting thing about his world were the occasional thunderstorms, the kind that made the air feel electric, but even those seemed to pale in comparison to what happened that evening. It started as a simple walk through the woods, a place Ethan often visited to clear his mind. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows across the forest floor, when he felt something unusual. It was the air. It wasn't the same. The wind had stopped, and everything felt eerily still. Then, without warning, he saw her. A figure emerged from between the trees, her silhouette almost glowing in the dimming light. At first, Ethan thought he was imagining things. But as the figure drew closer, the aura surrounding her became undeniable. It wasn't just the soft glow of her skin or the strange shimmer in the air around her. It was something deeper, something he could feel brushing against his skin, like a delicate touch, though she stood several feet away. A strange warmth spread over him, though the temperature around him hadn't changed. It was as though a force, invisible yet powerful, was swirling around him. He could feel it caressing his face, wrapping around his shoulders, brushing against his skin like a soft wind. But it was no wind. It was her, the alien girl. Her eyes locked with his, and for a brief moment, there was silence. It wasn't uncomfortable, though. It was filled with a strange understanding. Ethan couldn't explain it, but he felt connected to her in that instant. And then, she spoke. Her voice was not like anything he had heard before, soft, yet clear, with a melodic quality that seemed to resonate with something deep within him. You feel it, don't you? She said, her voice carrying the weight of an ancient knowledge, as if she had seen and experienced things far beyond anything Ethan could imagine. The aura, it's wrapping around you. Ethan blinked, unsure of what to say. He didn't even know how to respond to something so out of this world. His mind raced as he tried to comprehend what was happening, but the feeling of her aura, still lingering around him, made his thoughts scatter. He had read stories about aliens, but nothing in those stories had prepared him for this moment. This was real. She was real. And the aura, it was real, too. I am not sure what to think. Ethan thought, his mind spinning with confusion. He stood there, staring at Alira, the alien girl, trying to process everything that was happening. Her words echoed in his head, but it was the sensation of her aura wrapping around him that kept him rooted in place. It was like nothing he had ever experienced before. He had felt energy before, a charge in the air during storms, the hum of machines. But this was different. This felt alive. He could feel it in his skin, under his clothes, as if it was reaching into his very soul. The warmth was not of the sun, but of something far more mysterious and ancient. And the way it moved, flowing gently like liquid light, was something he could never have imagined. It wasn't painful, but it was overwhelming. Like his body didn't know how to respond. Alira watched him closely, her expression unreadable. Her glowing eyes seemed to see through him, not just looking at him, but sensing him. It was like she could feel his thoughts. Don't be afraid, she said, her voice soothing, though it still carried that strange melodic quality. This is a gift. It is how we communicate. It is how we connect. Ethan blinked, unsure of what to say. He felt the urge to reach out, but he didn't know if he should. The aura was so powerful, so present, it made him hesitate. A gift? He finally asked, his voice shaky. What do you mean? I don't understand. Why me? Alira tilted, her head slightly, as if she was considering his question, her expression softening. The aura responds to your presence, she said quietly. It recognizes something in you, Ethan. Something that resonates with mine. Ethan swallowed, trying to make sense of her words. She knew his name. She knew about him, even though he had never met her before. But there was no time to dwell on that. There was too much going on, too many questions in his mind. He looked around. almost as if expecting someone else to be there, someone to explain it all. But the forest was silent, save for the rustling of the leaves in the trees. The air was thick, heavy with the aura that still enveloped him. "What are you?" he asked, finally finding the courage to speak again. "Where are you from?" Alira's eyes softened, and she took a step closer, though she didn't break the space between them. "I am from a world far beyond yours," she said, her voice steady. "My people have the ability to create and manipulate the aura. It is a part of us, just as much as our flesh and blood." She paused, and Ethan could see the weight of centuries in her gaze. "We travel across the stars, seeking others who can feel it. Your world is not the first we visited, but it is the first where the aura has connected so strongly with a human." Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine, though it wasn't from fear. It was wonder. He had always dreamed of something greater, of the unknown, but now that it was standing before him, he was unsure how to handle it. He had read about extraterrestrial life, about things beyond Earth, but this was beyond anything he could have imagined. "What happens now?" Ethan asked, his voice almost a whisper. Alira studied him carefully before speaking again. "Now, you learn. You feel. You understand. The aura will guide you, just as it has guided me. And together, we will discover what lies ahead. I think you are ready now." Alira's words broke through Ethan's racing thoughts, but they didn't calm him. He looked at her, trying to understand what she meant. Ready for what? He felt nothing but confusion, but something inside him told him to trust her. His heart beat faster as her presence seemed to fill the air around him. It was as if her aura was somehow becoming a part of him, and the longer he stood there, the more it felt like he wasn't just standing in a forest anymore. It was as if the entire world was shifting. "What do you want me to do?" Ethan asked, his voice uncertain but filled with a strange sense of anticipation. Alira's gaze softened as she stepped closer to him, her presence somehow both comforting and unsettling at the same time. "Feel it, Ethan. Let the aura guide you. Let it show you what is hidden from your eyes." He nodded slowly, trying to focus on the warmth that still surrounded him. His eyes closed for a moment, and he breathed deeply, trying to center himself. For a split second, the world seemed to quiet around him, and all he could hear was his own heartbeat, steady and strong. Then it came again, the sensation of the aura. This time, it was different. It wasn't just brushing against his skin, but it was inside him, beneath the surface of his thoughts, like a pulse of energy moving through his veins. He gasped, his eyes snapping open as the feeling intensified. It wasn't just warmth anymore. It was a soft, unrelenting pressure, like his entire body was being enveloped in something far greater than himself. He tried to speak, but no words came. Alira was standing there, watching him with an unreadable expression. Her eyes glowed, their strange light piercing through the darkness of the forest, and Ethan realized he had never seen anything so mesmerizing. For a brief moment, he felt like he was no longer alone. The aura was all around him now, and it felt as if it was speaking to him, guiding him in ways he couldn't understand. There were no words, no sounds, just the sensation of the world shifting, expanding. It felt like he was standing on the edge of something vast, something limitless, like he could finally understand the true nature of existence. But then, as quickly as it came, the feeling faded. The aura retreated, and Ethan was left standing there, breathless. He stared at Alira, trying to find the words to explain what had just happened. "I felt it," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "I don't know what it was, but I felt it." Alira's expression softened, a small smile tugging at the corners of her lips. "It is the beginning, Ethan. The beginning of something much greater than you can imagine. The aura has awakened something within you, something that connects us both. And now, you are ready to begin your journey." Ethan didn't know what she meant, but he knew one thing for certain. His life was never going to be the same again. "I don't understand," Ethan whispered, his voice hoarse from the overwhelming experience he had just gone through. Alira's presence, so calm and composed, seemed to contrast the storm of emotions and sensations that still churned inside him. He couldn't explain it, how everything had changed in the span of a few minutes. The world felt different, but not in a way he could fully comprehend. "It will take time," Alira replied softly, her voice gentle, yet carrying a depth of certainty. "You will learn to understand, Ethan. The aura works in ways that cannot be rushed. It has chosen you for a reason, and you are now part of something far greater than yourself. Ethan took a deep breath, trying to steady his racing thoughts. He felt a sense of awe, but also a heavy weight, a responsibility that he didn't know how to bear. But why me? Why now? He asked, his eyes searching hers for some answer that would make sense of this strange reality. Alira studied him carefully, her eyes glowing softly in the dim light of the forest. The aura is drawn to those who are open to it, people who seek more than just what is in front of them. You have always wondered about the unknown, Ethan. That curiosity, that desire to explore, is what made you ready for this moment. Ethan was silent for a moment, considering her words. He had always been different, always seeking something beyond the ordinary. But this was beyond anything he could have imagined. What happens now? He asked, his voice a little more confident, though still laced with uncertainty. Alira smiled slightly, her expression serene. Now, we begin your training. I will teach you to control the aura, to understand its power. You will learn how to connect with it, how to feel its presence in everything around you. The aura is not just energy, Ethan. It is life itself, and it flows through everything. Through you, through me, through the stars above us. Ethan nodded, though he still felt a sense of disbelief. How could he, an ordinary man from a small town, learn something so extraordinary? But the energy inside him, that pulsing warmth, was undeniable. It was real, and he knew that somehow, he had to learn how to control it. I don't know where to start, he admitted, his voice quieter now. Alira's smile widened slightly. The first step is to open your mind. Let go of your doubts. The aura cannot be controlled by fear or uncertainty. You must trust it and trust yourself. Only then will you begin to see its true potential. Ethan closed his eyes again, trying to calm the storm inside his mind. He took another deep breath, focusing on the sensation of the aura still surrounding him. It was subtle now, but he could feel it, like a whispering presence, like something alive moving through him. Alira stepped back, giving him space. Feel it, Ethan, she said softly. Let the aura guide you. Ethan nodded again, his heart pounding in his chest. He had no idea where this journey would take him, but he knew one thing for sure. His life was no longer his own. The aura had chosen him, and now, he would have to follow its lead. I cannot believe this is happening, Ethan muttered under his breath, still trying to process everything that was unfolding. The aura around him hummed softly, like a distant melody he couldn't fully understand. It was there, yet it felt like it was part of him, an invisible presence, lingering just beneath the surface. Alira stood a few paces away, her expression serene and patient as always. She was watching him closely, waiting for him to gather himself. You will get used to it, she said, her voice calm and reassuring. The more you focus, the stronger your connection with the aura will become. But first, you must let go of your fear. Fear blocks the flow. Let the energy move freely through you. Ethan took a deep breath. Fear. It was true. He had been afraid of what he was feeling, afraid of what was happening to him. He had never believed in anything like this before. But now, standing here, with the sensation of the aura still humming around him, he couldn't deny it any longer. It was real. Alira was real. How do I let go of it? Ethan asked, looking up at her, his voice tentative. How do I stop being afraid? Alira's eyes softened, and she took a step toward him. You need to trust yourself, Ethan. The aura will guide you, but only if you allow it to. Trust in the power within you. You have already felt it, haven't you? That warmth, that pulse inside you. It's yours now, part of you. Ethan closed his eyes, focusing on the sensation of the aura once more. He felt it, still there, a presence that was both foreign and familiar at the same time. He had never been one to trust easily, but this felt different. It felt like something deep within him had already known it was here, had been waiting for it. He felt a warmth in his chest, like a flicker of light, small but steady. Slowly, he reached out, almost instinctively, and focused on the sensation, allowing it to flow through his fingers. The aura responded to his touch, intensifying for a brief moment before calming again. Ethan opened his eyes, surprised by what had just happened. I felt it, he said softly. It responded to me. Alira smiled, her eyes glowing with approval. You are starting to understand. The aura is alive, Ethan. It listens, and it will always respond, but only if you allow it to. Ethan nodded, feeling a strange sense of accomplishment, though he still had so many questions. What happens next? He asked. What do I do with all this power? Alira looked at him thoughtfully, her gaze distant for a moment before she spoke again. You will learn to control it, to guide it. The aura has great potential, but it can also be overwhelming if not properly understood. That is why we train, to unlock its true power, and to learn how to use it with wisdom. You are just beginning, Ethan. There is much more to come. Ethan took another deep breath, his heart still racing with excitement and uncertainty. He didn't know where this journey would lead, but he was beginning to understand one thing for sure. His life was no longer just his own. The aura had chosen him, and now he had a new path to follow, one that would take him beyond the ordinary world he had known into something far greater and far more mysterious. Whatever lay ahead, he knew he wasn't alone. Alira would be there, guiding him, teaching him, and with each step, he would come closer to understanding the true power of the aura. I have much to teach you, Ethan. Alira's voice broke through the stillness, calm but firm. We will begin today. Ethan nodded, feeling a mix of anticipation and uncertainty. He had been training with her for a few days now, but each session only left him with more questions. The aura, that mysterious force that surrounded him, seemed to pulse with life. It had become more familiar, but still so much of it eluded him. He could feel it when he focused, but he couldn't yet control it. You need to learn how to listen to it, Alira continued, her gaze intense. The aura does not respond to force. It responds to understanding, to connection. You must listen, Ethan, as if you were speaking to an old friend. Ethan glanced down at his hands, feeling the familiar hum of energy that still lingered in his fingertips. He had never felt more alive, but at the same time, he felt lost. How could he, an ordinary person, ever understand something so vast and otherworldly? How do I listen? Ethan asked, his voice full of doubt. I don't even know where to begin. Alira stepped closer, her presence steady and grounding. Start by closing your eyes, she instructed. Clear your mind. Forget everything you think you know. The aura is not a thing to control. It is a part of you, a part of everything. It speaks, but only to those who are truly listening. Ethan hesitated, then obeyed. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and tried to clear his thoughts. At first, there was only silence. The kind of silence that felt thick, pressing in on him. But slowly, as he focused, he began to feel it. The aura. It was subtle at first, like a soft breeze brushing against his skin. But then, it grew stronger. He felt it flowing through his body, like a current of energy, winding its way through his veins. It wasn't just an external sensation anymore. It was inside him, part of him, like his heart beating in time with it. He let it flow, letting the energy move through him, not forcing it, just allowing it to be. And then, something shifted. Ethan felt a connection, not just to the aura, but to the world around him. The rustling of the trees, the distant chirp of a bird, the coolness of the air, it all felt more alive, more real. He could feel the earth beneath his feet, the pulse of the forest surrounding him. Everything was connected. He opened his eyes, a sense of wonder flooding him. I felt it, he whispered, barely able to believe what he had just experienced. I could feel everything, like I was part of it all. Alira nodded, her eyes glowing softly in approval. You are beginning to understand. The aura is not separate from you. It is all things, all life. And when you learn to truly listen, you will be able to feel it in everything, everywhere. That is the power of the aura, Ethan. Ethan stood there, absorbing her words, his heart racing with excitement. He didn't fully understand yet, but something inside him told him that this was just the beginning of something far greater than anything he had ever imagined. What do I do with this knowledge? He asked, his voice tinged with both hope and uncertainty. What's next? Alira smiled, her expression gentle but knowing. Next, you learn to shape it, to use it. But first, you must truly trust it. The aura responds to trust, Ethan. And it is only by trusting it that you will be able to unlock its true potential. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words settle in. He was beginning to understand. He wasn't just training to control an external force. He was learning to control himself, to trust himself in ways he never had before. And with that trust would come the power he needed to face whatever lay ahead. His journey had only just begun, and though he was far from ready, he knew he was no longer alone. The aura was with him, guiding him, and with Alira by his side, he would learn to unlock its full potential. I know you're still unsure, Ethan. Alira's voice broke through his thoughts, calm and reassuring. But you are making progress. Every moment you spend connected to the aura brings you closer to understanding it. Ethan stood silently, his hands still tingling with the faint traces of energy. He had been training with Alira for what felt like days now, but the more he learned, the more questions seemed to arise. The aura, that strange and powerful force, was beginning to make sense in small pieces, but it was overwhelming. I just don't know if I'm ready for all of this, Ethan confessed, his voice low. It feels like I'm being pulled in too many directions at once. Alira turned toward him, her eyes glowing softly in the dim light of the forest. You are not alone in this, Ethan. I will guide you through every step. The aura is not something you conquer. It is something you learn to live with. It will take time, and you will make mistakes. But you must be patient with yourself. The path you are on is not one that can be rushed. Ethan nodded, but his doubts lingered. He felt something stirring deep inside him, a sense of responsibility that he couldn't shake. He had always lived an ordinary life, but now that had changed. The aura had chosen him, and with that came a burden. What happens if I can't control it? He asked, the fear rising in his chest again. What if it gets out of hand? Alira looked at him with a thoughtful expression, her gaze unwavering. The aura will only become dangerous if you try to fight it, Ethan. If you fear it or resist it, that is when it can cause harm. But if you trust it, if you embrace it, it will become an extension of you. A tool. A force that you control, not the other way around. Ethan looked down at his hands, still unsure. He had felt the power, had experienced the warmth and the pulse of the aura, but it was hard to believe that something so intangible could become a part of him. How do I start? He asked, looking up at her again. Alira smiled softly. We start small, Ethan. You need to practice feeling the aura around you, not just within yourself. It exists everywhere. In the trees, in the air, in the ground beneath your feet. It is all around you, waiting for you to notice it. Ethan took a deep breath, focusing on the sensation of the aura still lingering in the air. He reached out, his fingers barely brushing the space around him. It was subtle, but he could feel it, like a soft hum in the air, like something alive just out of reach. Feel it, Alira said. Let it guide you. Let it show you the connections. It's always there, Ethan. You just need to pay attention. Ethan closed his eyes, focusing on the stillness around him. Slowly, he began to feel it more clearly. The aura was not just something he could sense. It was something he could interact with, something he could guide. As he focused, he could feel the energy around him, moving and shifting, responding to his thoughts, his intentions. It was a strange and powerful feeling, like he was connected to everything around him, like he was a part of the world in a way he had never been before. It's amazing, Ethan whispered, unable to keep the wonder from his voice. I can feel it. It's everywhere. Alira nodded, her expression pleased. You are learning, Ethan. This is just the beginning. The more you connect with the aura, the more you will understand its true potential. But remember, the key is trust. Trust in the aura, and trust in yourself. Ethan felt a spark of hope. It wasn't much, but it was something. With Alira's guidance, he was beginning to believe that he could truly learn to control the aura, to use its power not just for himself, but for something greater. He wasn't sure what the future held, but for the first time since meeting Alira, he felt ready to face whatever came next. I think you're ready for the next step, Ethan, Alira said, her voice calm but filled with a quiet confidence. Ethan nodded, though a flicker of doubt still lingered in his mind. He had been practicing, but there was so much he still didn't understand. The aura, once a distant sensation, had become more real to him, like a companion he could feel but not yet control. Are you sure I'm ready? Ethan asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty. Alira smiled, her eyes glowing softly in the moonlight. You've come farther than you think. You've already learned to connect with the aura, to feel its presence. Now it's time for you to learn how to guide it. Ethan felt his heart race a little. The idea of actually guiding the aura was intimidating. Up until now, he had only let it flow. Around him, feeling its power but never shaping it. I'm not sure how I can control something so vast. Ethan admitted, trying to put into words the overwhelming sense of uncertainty that had been growing inside him. It feels like something so much bigger than me. Alira's gaze softened, and she stepped closer, her presence both comforting and grounding. The aura is not bigger than you, Ethan. It is you. It flows through you. It exists because you exist. You are not separate from it. You only need to trust that you can guide it, just as you guide your own thoughts. Ethan looked at her, still unsure, but there was something in her words that resonated with him. She had always spoken of the aura as if it were an extension of himself, not something outside of him. Okay, he said, taking a deep breath, I'll try. Alira nodded approvingly, her eyes never leaving his. Good. Now, close your eyes and focus on the sensation you feel when the aura touches you. Let it fill your awareness, but do not try to control it. Just allow it to become a part of you, a natural extension of your being. Ethan followed her instructions, closing his eyes and letting the soft hum of the aura fill his senses. He focused on the feeling of it, not trying to push it away or shape it, just letting it be. For a moment, it felt like everything around him disappeared. The forest, the stars, everything faded away until only the aura remained. It was a gentle presence, almost like a warm embrace, but it was also strong, like the steady pulse of his own heartbeat. Slowly, he reached out with his mind, not with force, but with intention. He imagined the aura responding to him, moving with his thoughts. At first, nothing happened. It felt like he was trying to move something too vast to grasp. But then, almost imperceptibly, he felt it shift. The aura responded, not with the power he had expected, but with a subtle flow, as if it was acknowledging his presence. A thrill ran through him. He wasn't controlling it. Not yet, but he was guiding it, gently. I can feel it, Ethan whispered, his voice barely audible. It's moving with me. Alira's smile deepened. Yes, Ethan, you are beginning to understand. The aura does not submit to force. It moves with intention, with connection. You can guide it, but you must always remember to listen. The aura is not a tool to be used recklessly. It is a part of you, and it will always respond with respect to your intentions. Ethan nodded, his mind racing with excitement. This was it, the first step toward understanding the true potential of the aura. The idea that he could guide it, that he wasn't merely a passive participant, was both thrilling and humbling. He wasn't sure where this would take him, but for the first time, he felt a sense of control. Alira's presence beside him, calm and steady, was a reminder that he wasn't alone in this journey. The road ahead would not be easy, but with each step, he was learning to trust in the aura and in himself. I can feel it more clearly now, Ethan said, his voice filled with a quiet excitement. He stood with his eyes closed, focusing on the aura that surrounded him. It had been days since he first made contact with it, but every moment felt like a new discovery. It was growing stronger, more tangible with each passing day. Alira stood beside him, watching patiently as he concentrated. You are learning to trust it, she replied softly, her voice calm and steady. The more you connect with it, the more powerful you will become. But remember, control comes from understanding, not force. Ethan nodded, trying to grasp the full meaning of her words. He had come a long way, but it felt like the path ahead was still shrouded in mystery. There was so much he didn't understand about the aura, about its true potential. And yet, he felt an undeniable pull to explore it further, to unlock its secrets. He reached out again, his thoughts focused on guiding the aura, not commanding it, but connecting with it. The sensation of energy flowing through him was both familiar and strange. It was like a pulse, a steady rhythm, moving in sync with his heartbeat. He could feel it in his fingertips, moving with his thoughts, responding to his intentions. It wasn't as overwhelming as it had been at first. Now, it was more like a conversation, a quiet exchange between him and the aura. Ethan opened his eyes slowly, his heart still racing with the intensity of the experience. I can guide it now, he said, his voice filled with wonder. I feel like I can control it. Alira smiled, her eyes glowing softly in the moonlight. You're learning, Ethan. But remember, control is not the goal. The aura is not something you possess. It is something you become a part of. It flows through you, just as it flows through everything else. You must remain humble, always aware that the aura is not a tool, but a force of nature. It must be respected. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words. He had always thought of power as something to be controlled, to be wielded. But now, he understood that the aura wasn't something to be controlled in the traditional sense. It was something to be understood, to be in harmony with. I think I understand, he said quietly. It's not about dominating the aura. It's about being in sync with it, letting it flow through me without resisting it. Alira nodded, her expression pleased. Exactly. The aura is not something you can tame, Ethan. It is something you must become one with. And in doing so, you will unlock its true potential. Ethan felt a surge of determination rise within him. He wasn't sure where this journey would take him, but he knew one thing for sure. He was ready to continue. The aura had already changed him in ways he couldn't fully explain, but he knew it was only the beginning. There was more to discover, more to understand. What's next? He asked, his voice steady now, filled with purpose. Alira looked at him thoughtfully before answering. Next, we will begin to explore how to use the aura for something greater than yourself. It is not just a force for personal gain, Ethan. It is a force that can be used to help others, to protect those who need it. But that will require even more understanding, more patience. Ethan's heart quickened with anticipation. The idea of using the aura to help others, to make a real difference in the world, was both thrilling and humbling. He had always felt like an ordinary person, someone who didn't have much to offer. But now, with the aura at his side, he felt like he had the potential to do something extraordinary. I'm ready, he said, his voice firm with resolve. Let's begin. Alira nodded, a small smile playing at the corners of her lips. Then let's take the next step together, Ethan. The journey is only just beginning. Ethan stood tall, feeling the aura flowing through him, a steady presence, a reminder that he was no longer the same person who had first stumbled upon Alira in the woods. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time, he felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. He had the aura, he had Alira, and most importantly, he had the belief in himself to see it through.